Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhadevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamam Vande Shri Guru Dīnataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwar. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So here we were on this chapter where we were discussing about the Lord accepts Prasādam at the house of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. And it's a long chapter. So we have been witnessing so many other things other than Lord accepting Prasādam at Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. So we saw that how Lord was bidding farewell to all the various devotees who had come from Bengal and from other part of Orissa. So after seeing them off, and now the Lord was with his devotees. So let us continue from, we are in this section. Lord Chaitanya accepts Prasad, verse number 184 to 244. Puri Gosai Jagdananda Swarup Damodara Damodara Pandit Ara Govind Kashishwara. ये सब संगे प्रभु वैसे नीला चाले जगन्नाथ दर्शन नित्य करे प्रातः काले. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at Jagannath Puri, Neelachal with Paramananda Puri, Jagdananda, Swarup Damodar, Damodar Pandit, Govinda and Kashishwara. It was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's daily practice to see Lord Jagannath in the morning. So these are some of the most intimate devotees of the Lord. Names are mentioned here. And being in Jagannath Puri, Lord would visit and have darshan of Lord Jagannath every day morning.
Prabhu Pashasi Sārvabhauma Ekadina Yoda Hatakari Kichu Kailani Vedana. One day Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya came before Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu with folded hands and submitted a request. Ebe Saba Vaishnava Desha Chali Gela Ebe Prabhu Nimantrane Avasara Haila.
Since all the Vaishnavas had returned to Bengal, there was a good chance that Lord would accept an invitation. So earlier we saw in the previous chapters that how when these devotees from Bengal were there, so first all the senior devotees had invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimantran, they offered the invitation to come home and honor Prasādam. So Bhaṭṭācārya was there and other devotees. So they offered, then there were other devotees. So then some devotees were left out, and then they had combined together and 3-4 devotees would combine and then offer invitation to the Lord. So now all those devotees had gone back to Bengal and comparatively Lord was alone. And so there were not many devotees there to offer invitation to the Lord. So here Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya thought that okay, now is a good time. Good chance that I can offer him an invitation to come home and honor Prasādam and hopefully Lord will accept it.
Ebe mora ghare bhiksha karamasa bhari Prabhu kahe dharma nahe karite na pari. So Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, now he was so excited and thrilled that finally it is his chance to invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he extended invitation, not for 1 day or 1 week or 10 days, what he is saying, Mas Bhari, for 1 full month. So he requested, please accept my invitation for lunch for 1 month. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what does he reply? So he says, that is not possible. Karite na pari, I cannot do that. Why? Because it is against the religious principles of a sannyasi. So sannyasis should not have this tendency to okay, so this person is taking care of me for the rest of my life. They have to exhibit certain degree of detachment, both from people and the food also. So all these things which may cause attachment, they have to stay away. So Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu in this particular avatar, after taking sannyas, he is actually an exemplary renunciate. So he's teaching by his own example and he's saying that is not possible.
Sārvabhauma kahe bhiksha karabisha dina Prabhu kahe eha nahe yati dharma chena. Sārvabhauma then said, please accept the invitation for 20 days. So now there is a negotiation which is happening. Sārvabhauma first said 30 days, now he's saying 20 days. But Lord is not moving from his dharma. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, it is not a religious principle. Yati eha nahi yati dharma chihna. It is not a religious principle of the renounced order. So the renunciate should not have any desire, should not develop a desire to go to a family man's home and enjoy nice, elaborate meals. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to restrict that, and therefore he's saying that it is not proper for renounced order to go to some grihastha's house, and like this and accept invitation of 20 days and, honor elaborate prasadam.
Sārvabhauma kahe punah dina pancha dasha Prabhu kahe tomar bhiksha eka divasa. When Sārvabhauma requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to accept lunch for 15 days, the Lord said, I shall accept lunch at your place for 1 day only. So he started with 1 month and now he has come to 15 days in this negotiation and Mahaprabhu has agreed for 1 day only. So actually this reminds me of the pastime where Lord was negotiating with that Kola Vecha Sridhar for the bananas. So Lord was not willing to give anything and he was asking for money, and here we say the other way around, that Lord does not he is not obliging him for many days and Sārvabhauma is negotiating with him. Tabe Sārvabhauma Prabhur charane dhariya
Dasha dina bhikshakara kahe vinti kariya. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya then caught hold of Lord's lotus feet and submissively begged, please accept lunch for at least 10 days. So we see here that, of course, Lord is in renounced order and he has to observe the etiquettes of the renounced order. But at the same time, he is also the Lord, and Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is a great devotee. So it's not just the ashram, which is being honored, but also it is the emotions of a devotee and the Lord which come into play here. So here Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is not willing to give it up, give this his desire to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu up, and he's saying at least 10 days. And he caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet and he was just submissively, he was begging for it.
Prabhu krame krame pancha dina ghataila, pancha dina tanre bhiksha niyama karila. In this way, by and by, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reduced the duration to 5 days. Thus, for 5 days, he regularly accepted the Bhaṭṭācārya's invitation to lunch. Tabe Sārvabhauma kare ar nivedana, Toma sange sanyasiya chedasha jana.
After this, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya said, my Lord, there are 10 sannyasis with you. So we saw this earlier also when the Bengal devotees were inviting. So Lord would not go alone. He would go along with his sannyas associates.
Puri gosaira bhiksha pancha dina mora ghare, Purve ami kahi acho tomara gochare. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya then submitted that Paramananda Puri Goswami would accept a 5-day invitation at his place. This had already been settled before the Lord. Damodar Svarupa e Bandhava Amara, Kabu Tomar Sange Abe, Kabu Ekeshwara.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya said, Damodar Swarup is my intimate friend. He will come sometimes with you and sometimes alone.
Ar ashta sanyasira bhiksha dui dui divase, Eka eka dina eka eka jane purna haile mase. The other 8 sannyasis will accept invitations for 2 days each. In this way, there will be engagement for each and every day during the entire month. So this is how he actually packed his whole month with the sannyasis invitation for his home. Bahut sannyasi adi aise ekathani, Sammana karite nari aparadh pai.
If all the sannyasis came together, it would not be possible for me to pay them proper respects. Therefore, I would be an offender. So this was a great concern with Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, that he not just wanted to invite these sannyasis, but he also was very careful that if all of them will come together, how would he be in a position to offer each one of them proper respect? And if he does not offer proper respect to each sannyasi, if there is some offense which is committed in the process, then the whole objective of pleasing these sannyasis and receiving their blessings and advancing Krishna consciousness would fail. So then he would become an aparadhi or an offender at the feet. So this is the concern he was expressing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Tumi hani jaye asibe mora ghara, Kabu sange asibe na Swarup Damodara. Sometimes you will come alone to my place, and sometimes you will be accompanied by Swarup Damodar. So he will invite sometime both of them and sometimes Swarup Damodar alone. Prabhura ingita pana anandita mana, Seidina Mahaprabhu kailani mantrana.
Having this arrangement confirmed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhaṭṭācārya became very glad and immediately invited the Lord to his house on that very day.
Shathirmata nama Bhaṭṭācārya Grihini Prabhur Mahabhakta te ho snehite janani. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's wife was known as Shathirmata, the mother of Shathi. She was a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu and she was affectionate like a mother. So she was also very delighted, very joyful to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming. Why? Because she was a wonderful devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that news gave so much of happiness to Shathir Mata. Ghare asi Bhaṭṭācārya tanre agya dila Anande Shathira Mata pak chadaila.
After returning to his home, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya gave orders to his wife, and his wife, Shathirmata, began cooking with great pleasure.
Bhaṭṭācārya grihe sabha dravya ach bhari Yeva shaka phaladika anaila ahari. At Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's house, there was always a full stock of food. Whatever spinach, vegetables, fruit and so on were required, he collected and brought back home. So the grains and other things were there and whatever fresh vegetables and fruits were required for cooking, so he arranged everything soon. Apani Bhaṭṭācārya kare pakir sab karma Shathirmata vichakshana jane pakamarma.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya personally began to help Shathirmata cook. So he instructed his wife what to do. He arranged the items which were supposed to be arranged from outside, and then he personally began to assist his wife in cooking. She was very experienced and she knew how to cook nicely. So she was a very qualified, experienced cook, and she knew Jane Pakamarma. So she knew the science and the art of cooking.
Pakashala dakshine dui bhogalaya Eka ghare shale grame bhoga sevahaya. On the southern side of the kitchen were two rooms for offering food, and in one of them the food was offered to Shalagram Narayan. So there were two rooms basically meant just for the bhoga seva or for offering the bhoga. So in one of these rooms was Shaligram. Har ghar Mahaprabhur bhikshar lagiya Nibrite kariya che bhat nutan koriya.
The other room was for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lunch. The Lord's lunch room was very secluded and it was newly constructed by the Bhaṭṭācārya.
Bhaya ekadvar tara Prabhu praveshite Pakashala ekadvara anna pariveshite. The room was so constructed that there was only one door opening on the outside, which served as an entrance for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was another door attached to the kitchen, and it was through this door that the food was brought. So this was a small room next to the room where Shaligram was there. So the bhoga was first offered to Shaligram, and in the adjacent room, which is newly constructed, so as it is mentioned, there were two doors. So one is just for Mahaprabhu to come in, and second was for the food what was being served for Mahaprabhu, that to come in. So basically they are trying to tell us that it was a secluded room and it was not open for one and all to like just come and see while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was honoring Prasad. Battisha Athiya Kala Rangatiya Pate Tina Mana Tandulera Bharila Bhate.
First, 3 manas of cooked rice, almost 6 pounds, was poured onto a big banana leaf. So from here, the description of the Prasādam being served to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being described, and here we see that whole description is being done by Kaviraj Goswami, who himself is an expert cook. He knew how to prepare different kinds of items and how to serve those items. So the author himself was an expert cook. He knew how each item is served, and therefore he could describe all this in a great detail and with great accuracy and with great bliss.
पीत सुगंधी घृते अन्न सिक्त कोयला चारिदी के पाते घृत वहिया चलीला. Then the whole stack of rice was mixed with so much yellowish and fragrant clarified butter that it began to overflow the leaf. So first so much rice was kept, and then so much of the yellow and fragrant ghee was added to that I mean, we can imagine the quantity of the ghee. That first the rice was so much and the rice is not able to hold the ghee. The ghee started to overflow from the leaf.
So here both how different items are, how they are cooked, and also how they should be served. So when the rice is placed on the plate, the next item that is brought is ghee.
Kiya patra kala khola donga sari sari चारिदी के धरी आचे नाना व्यंजन भारी.
There were a number of pots made of the bark of banana trees and the leaves of the kea plant. These pots were filled with various cooked vegetables and placed on all sides of the leaf. So there was a huge leaf to hold that kind of rice, and all around the leaf there were different pots, and these pots were made from banana bark, tree bark, and the leaves of kea plants. So there's a completely today's
organic green.
Green. So these are all environment friendly disposable vessels, and which are completely made from plants.
दश प्रकार शाक निम्बा तिक्त सुक्त झोला मरीचेर झाल चाना बड़ा बड़ी घोला. There were about 10 kinds of spinach. 10 kinds of spinach alone. A soup called shukta, which was made with bitter nimba leaves. A pungent preparation made with black pepper. A mild cake made of fried curd. And buttermilk mixed with small fried pieces of dal. So many preparations. The description has just begun. Dugdha tumbi dugdha kushman Vesdara lapara Mocha ghanta mocha bhaja Vividha shakara.
There were preparations of dugdha tumbi, dugdha kushumanda, vesara, lapara, mocha ghanta, mocha bhaja, and other vegetables. So I mean, these are I think the local terminology. Mocha refers to, I think, the banana flour. So there are a few items made with that. Mocha bhaja, basically fried banana flowers, and other items. So different kinds of vegetables.
Vriddha kushumanda badi vyanjana apara Phula badi phala mula vividha prakara. There were unlimited quantities of Vriddha Kushmandi Badi, Phul Badi, fruits and various roots. Navanimba Patra Saha Brishta Vartakhi Phula Badi Patol Bhaja Kushmandana Chaki.
Other preparations included eggplant. So now we are beginning to understand some vegetables at least. So we had eggplant mixed with newly grown nimba leaves fried together. So earlier also we see when after the rice and ghee, the first thing was mentioned was there was a shukta soup which was made with the neem leaves, and here we have eggplant mixed with newly grown neem leaves fried together. So usually in the way the prasadam is served, especially in Bengal and Orissa, is bitter items are served first, and then it goes towards the end where the sweet is served. So here, this bitter item of eggplant and nimba leaves or neem leaves, and then light body, fried patol. Patol is
mridang shaped vegetable. I don't know what do they call in English.
In Hindi?
Parval.
Parval. So fried parval, bhaja. And then we have fried rounds of squash and pumpkin.
Lauki, kaddu, everything has come.
And everything is fried.
Brishtamasa mudga supa amrita nindaya Madhuramra badam ladi Lila-15. There was a soup made with fried urad dal and moong dal defeating nectar. Okay, this is something very different. There is a soup made with fried urad dal and moong dal defeating nectar. There were also sweet chutney and 5 or 6 kinds of sour preparations beginning with bada amla. So some amla preparation which is sour, and then the chutneys are there, sweet chutney is there. So many items. Mudga bada masa bada kala bada mishta Shira puli nari kela puli arayata pishta.
There were badas made of moong dal, of urad dal, and of sweet bananas. And there were sweet rice cakes, coconut cakes, and various other cakes.
Puli means cake.
Shira puli. So,
Shira puli, nari kela puli. So two.
Actually, it is like some kind of preparation which comes out with rice powder. That you need to heat the water, then take the rice powder and make a dough. Once the dough is prepared, you will feel all these like coconut cakes, na? So that coconut sweet kind of thing that you put it inside, and that entire things either be steamed or directly goes inside the water, which will be
Okay, like
floated on the water.
dumpling.
so the base preparation is rice flour, which is cooked in hot water, boiling water, and then it becomes like a thick cooked paste, and then it is processed in different ways.
So adding either the coconut, like coconut flavored, then yeah, they make dumplings out of that or steam that. Kanji bada dugdha chida dugdha lakalaki arayata pitha kaila kahitena shaki. There were kanji bada, dugdha chida, dugdha lakalaki, and various cakes that I am unable to describe. Grita shikta paramana amrita kundika bhari
Chanapakalagan dugda amataha dhari. Sweet rice mixed with ghee was poured into an earthen pot and mixed with champakala, condensed milk, and mango.
Rasala mathita dodhi sandesha apara Gaude utkalyata bhakshira prakara. Other preparations included a very delicious churned curd and a variety of sandesh sweetmeats. Indeed, all the various eatables available in Bengal and Orissa were prepared. Wow, so Mahaprabhu was from Bengal and he was having this prasad in Orissa. So all the different recipes from Bengal as well as Orissa's, everything was prepared there.
So we can just imagine that in that room, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sitting in one place and then with a leaf, and then the entire room possibly was filled with different items.
Shraddha Gauri Bhaṭṭācārya Sabakara Ila Shubhra Pitho Pari Sukshma Vasana Patila. Thus, the Bhaṭṭācārya prepared a great variety of food and spread a fine cloth over a white wooden platform. So he has made he has arranged everything and he has kept a seat for Mahaprabhu to commence it. Dui pashe sugandhi sheetal jaladhar jari anna vyanjano pari dila tulasi manjari.
On two sides of the stack of food were pitchers filled with scented cold water. The flowers of the tulsi tree were placed atop the mound of rice.
Amrita gutika pitha pana ila Jagannatha prasad sabha prithaka dharila. Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya also included several types of food that had been offered to Lord Jagannath. These included sweet balls known as Amrit Gutika, sweet rice and cakes. All these were kept separate. So of course no function in Jagannath Puri even now is complete without the prasad from Jagannath temple. So when the devotees would invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that time also they would get prasad from Jagannath temple also. So sometimes they would buy only the prasad from Jagannath temple and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and sometimes they would cook also. So here we hear how elaborately they have cooked so many things, and to top it up, because nothing is complete without Jagannath Prasad, so that was also arranged.
हे न काले महाप्रभु मध्यान करिया
आखे एकेले आईला तांड्रा हृदय जानिया.
When everything was ready, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there alone after finishing his midday duties. He knew the heart of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya.
भट्टाचार्य कैला तबे पाद प्रक्षालना घरेरा भितरे गेला करिते भोजना. After Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya washed the Lord's feet, the Lord entered the room to take his lunch. आनंदी देखिया, sorry, अन्नादि देखिया प्रभु विस्मित हाना. भट्टाचार्य कहे किछु भंगी करिया.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a little astonished to see the gorgeous arrangement, and gesturing, he spoke to Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya.
अलौकिक ए सब अन्न व्यंजन दुई प्रहर भीतर कैचे होइला रंधन. This is most uncommon. How was this arrangement of rice and vegetables finished within 6 hours? So now we need to remember that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had confirmed that day morning that he will come for prasad to Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's house. He accepted the invitation, and that very day, like almost unlimited prasad was arranged there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so, what was used? Vismit. He was astonished to see so much of food, and he's saying that is uncommon. Actually, I am reminded that few days back, similarly, we were invited to a Bengali family, and they had cooked so many items that we were exhausted of eating, and it was like newer and newer item was coming on and on and on. And we also had this thing, and we asked them that how did you cook so many items within such short time? And then we asked, and then the husband said that they started cooking at 9 and we were there at 1 o'clock. So in 4 hours, there were so many items. So something similar, I mean, of course, something similar we experienced, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing now.
In a very
introductory
way, basic.
I mean, he is the Supreme Lord. But the devotees, why I was telling is that the devotees are so, they derive so much of pleasure and happiness just by feeding the devotees.
And we can understand the expertise of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's wife and he himself. So they were so expert, and this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is astonished with, that in 6 hours, I mean, so many items that it is difficult to count. That's the number of items they have made.
10 type of spinach he started with. Shata chula shata jana pakayadi kare tabu shigra eta dravya randhite na pare.
Even 100 men cooking on 100 stoves could not possibly finish all these preparations within so short a time. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is all-knowing and as a devotee, so he knows that this is the kind of cooking that has been done. If 100 people had facility of 100 stoves, and still 6 hours was not sufficient to cook that variety.
Krishnir bhoga laga nacha anuman kari upare dekhiya yate tulasi manjari. I hope the food has already been offered to Krishna, since I see there are tulasi flowers on it. So the bhoga has already been offered. Bhagyavan tumi safal tomara udyoga Radha Krishna laga nacha etadrisha bhoga.
You're most fortunate, Bhagyavan to me, and your endeavor is successful, for you have offered such wonderful food to Radha Krishna. So here we see one interesting point that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not saying, wow, what a variety, great, now it will be very nice, I'll taste so many things. So that was not the agenda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately became so happy with Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's wife that you have made such arrangement, such great endeavor, and you have become so fortunate by that you could offer such variety and such wonderful bhoga to Radha and Krishna.
Annira Saurabhya Varnati Manorama Radha Krishna Sakshadiha Kariyachin Bhojana. The color of the rice is so attractive and its aroma so good that it appears Radha and Krishna have directly taken it. So actually we can see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so very pleased and how he is saying that Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's everything is successful because this food has definitely tasted by Radha Krishna and they are very pleased. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally is confirming that.
So many years back we were visiting Jagannath Puri and one Panda was telling that if you have visited Jagannath Puri, you'll notice that the Jagannath temple, on one end is the Jagannath altar where Lord is residing with his brother and sister, and at the other end of the that inner sanctum is the Bhoga Mandap. In that Bhog Mandap, all the bhoga is brought from the kitchen by an exclusive duct. So the bhoga is cooked in the kitchen, there is an exclusive duct, and the helpers and the servants of Lord Jagannath, they will tie their head, their ears, nose and mouth, everything will be covered, only their eyes will be open. And like that, they will transfer all the bhoga in the Bhog Mandap. And then from Bhog Mandap, the bhoga is offered to Jagannath. So he was saying that when the bhoga is brought, so bhoga is all kinds of bhoga is there. There is dal, there is rice, there is different kinds of sweets, this, that, everything is there. So he's saying that after the bhoga is done, there is great fragrance. So in his experience, he was saying that before the bhoga is offered, we don't experience that fragrance. After the bhoga is offered, then they are able to, then they get that great fragrance from the Prasādam. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also making a similar observation. He's saying that the rice is so attractive and its aroma is so good that it appears that Lord has actually directly accepted it.
Tomara bahut bhagya kata prashamsiva Ami bhagyavana iha ravashesha pava. My dear Bhaṭṭācārya, your fortune is very great. How shall I praise you? I am also very fortunate to be able to take the remnants of this food. So Mahaprabhu was very, very happy with Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, and he's telling like, I am falling short of words of how to praise you because what you have done is very uncommon, extraordinary and amazing.
And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also showing the attitude of a devotee. So when we go to some devotee's house or we visit a place where there's a feast being offered, so we must think like this. We must train ourselves to think like this, that wow, devotees have worked so hard. They've made such variety and such amazing bhoga for the Lord. So Lord would be so pleased. And then I am so fortunate to be here to honor the remnants of this prasad.
Krishnera asana pitha rakala uthana More prasadeha bhinna patrite koriya. Take away Krishna's sitting place and put it aside. Then give me prasadam on a different plate. So Mahaprabhu was thinking that all this has been offered to Krishna and all this what is there, it is all for Krishna to eat. So Krishna has already eaten. So he's telling, now give me a plate and give me some little prasadam from this plate which I can take as prasad. Bhaṭṭācārya bale prabhu na karah vismaya Yehi khabe tahar shaktya bhoga siddhaya.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya said, it is not so wonderful, my Lord. Na karha vismaya. Don't be so surprised and amazed. Everything has been made possible by the energy and mercy of Him who will eat the food. So Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is saying, actually Lord, it is because of your empowerment only that we could do all this.
Udyoga nachila mora grihinira randhane Yandra shakti bhoge siddha seitaha jane. My wife and I did not especially exert ourselves in the cooking. He, by whose power the food has been prepared, knows everything. So Krishna knows everything. I did not do any extra effort. Krishna has empowered me. Krishna gave me the ideas, and I along with my wife, we have just arranged this. Eta asane vasi karah bhojana Prabhu kahe pujya e Krishnera asana.
So here Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is requesting he's requesting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now please sit in this place and take your lunch. And what is Prabhu saying? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Pujera e Krishnera asana. This place is worshipable because it is used by Krishna. So here it's it's important for us to understand that any item which is used in Lord's service or in the spiritual master's service, we should not use it. It actually becomes worshipable for us. So sometimes there are different kinds of items which are used by the Lord, and it may be given to us, like we visit the temple, and devotees out of their love and affection, they may give it to us, an item used by the Lord. So what we do is we worship it. We don't really use it for our personal use.
Bhaṭṭācārya anna pitha samana prasada Anna khabe pithe vasite kaha aparadha. The Bhaṭṭācārya said, both the food and the sitting place are the Lord's mercy. If you can eat the remnant of the food, what is the offense in your sitting in this place? Prabhu kahe bhala kaile shastra agya haya Krishnera sakala shesha vritya asvadaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, yes, you have spoken correctly. The Shastras enjoin that the devotee can partake of everything left by Krishna. So whatever is offered to Krishna, it can be accepted by devotee as prasad, be it the bhoga or the food or any other paraphernalia also. The point is that when I accept something as prasad, then I cannot offer it back to Krishna. So I can accept it as his mercy, as the prasad of Supreme Lord. Tvayopayukta sargandha vasolankara charchitaha uchishta bhojino dasas tava mayam jayemahi.
My dear Lord, the garlands, scented substances, garments, ornaments, and other such things that have been offered to you may later be used by your servants. By partaking of these things and eating the remnants of food you have left, we will be able to conquer the illusory energy. So here Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is offering this verse to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 6th chapter, 46th verse. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that in the Hare Krishna movement, it is very important. What are the things very important? Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, dancing in ecstasy, and honoring Krishna Prasad. So these are very, very important. And by doing this, Prabhupada mentions that even if somebody is not literate, one is not able to read the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, but if he does these three things, then one can actually overcome Tava Maya Jayemahi. He can overcome the illusory energy of the Lord.
Tathapi eteka anna khao nanayaya Bhatta kahe jani khao yateka yuyaya. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, there is so much food here, it is impossible to eat it all. The Bhaṭṭācārya replied, I know how much you can eat.
Also, that verse was spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Nila-chale bhojan tumi karabayana bara Eka eka bhoge ranna shata shata bhara.
After all, at Jagannath Puri, you eat 52 times a day, and each time you eat hundreds of buckets filled with the Prasādam. So here, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is actually revealing the identity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's saying that you in Jagannath Puri temple, you sit on the altar and you're eating 52 times in a day and hundreds of buckets of bhoga at a time. So this is what your capacity is.
Dvarakate shola sahas mahishi mandire Ashtadasha mata ara yadavera ghare. At Dwarka, you keep 16,000 queens and 16,000 palaces. Also, there are 18 mothers and numerous friends and relatives of the Yadu dynasty. So he is actually, what point Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is making is that you are that same Krishna who's sitting at Jagannath Puri at the altar. You eat like unlimited food. You are there in Dwarka also, in the Supreme Lord Krishna, and you have 16,000 palaces. So you expand there and you are everywhere. So you are that Lord. So I know how much you can eat. व्रज ज्येष्ठ कुंड मामा पिशादी गोकर्णा सखा वृंद साबार घरे द्विसंध्या भोजना.
In Vrindavan, you also have your father's elder brothers, your father's younger brothers, maternal uncles, husbands of your father's sisters, and many cowherd men. There are also cowherd boyfriends, and you eat twice a day, morning and evening, in the house of each and everyone. So, like in Dwarka, Lord is eating in each of the queen's palaces. So 16,108 palaces are there, and he is eating every day in all the palaces. And then different mothers are there. And similarly here in Vrindavan, he has his father has younger brothers and elder brothers. And then there are husbands of his father's Nanda Maharaj's sisters, and then many cowherd men, and here, and many boyfriends also, his Gopa friends. So Lord is going every day to each of those houses in morning and in evening, and he is eating in each house.
Govardhana yagye anna khaye rashi rashi tara lekhaye anna na ekagrasi. Indeed, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya continued, at the Govardhan Puja ceremony, you ate stacks of rice. In comparison to that, this small quantity is not even a morsel for you. So Govardhan, you ate unlimited, and then you were calling out, give me more, and everyone was falling short of satisfying your hunger. And you are that same Krishna. So this is nothing what I am offering you compared to what is being offered to you at Govardhan Puja. Tumita Ishvara Muni Shudra Jiva Chara Ekagrasa Madhukari Karangikara.
You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas I am a most insignificant living being. Therefore, please accept a little quantity of food from my house. So this is the attitude of a devotee householder. So when he invites another devotee, so he takes care of what the needs and requirements of the guest is, and accordingly he prepares to the best of his ability. And here the description, Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, being the Lord, is astonished. The description is unfinished. There are so many items cannot be described. And after all that, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is saying that I am most insignificant. And then he is requesting that you please do some madhukari at my house. So with this kind of a humility, he is offering this prasad to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. So this is the kind of attitude that one should have if one is inviting devotee guests at home. And here, Srila Prabhupada explains what madhukari is. So madhukari usually is done by a sannyasi. What he does is goes from house to house and he begs, whatever little a householder may give, and then he accepts only that which is necessary for him for that particular meal. So he'll just accept, and then usually they will collect some grains, then they will cook, they'll offer to the Lord, and they will eat.
Etasho nihasi prabhu vasila bhojane Jagannather prasad bhatta dena harshamane. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and sat down to eat. The Bhaṭṭācārya with great pleasure first offered him the Prasādam from the Jagannath temple. So getting into the next section, shloka number 245 to 302, the offense and deliverance of Amogh.
Hena kale amogha bhaṭṭācārya raja mata kuli nindakte ho shāthi kanyara bharata. At this time, the Bhaṭṭācārya had a son-in-law named Amogh, who was the husband of his daughter Shāthi. Although born in an aristocratic Brahmana family, Amogh was a great fault finder and blasphemer. So Bhaṭṭācārya and his wife had a daughter named was Shāthi, and she was married to a person called Amogh. So this Amogh was, although he was born in a proper Brahmin family, but he was the family was Kulin, but he was a Nindaka. He was a fault finder and he was a blasphemer. So this person appeared on scene.
Bhojana dekhite chahe asite na pare, लाठी हाथे भट्टाचार्य आचे न दुआरे. Amogha wanted to see Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu eat, but he was not allowed to enter. Indeed, the Bhaṭṭācārya guarded the threshold of his house with a stick in his hand. So he was holding a lathi, a stick, and he was standing there. Bhaṭṭācārya was standing there and he was not allowing. So if you remember, the description is made that how there is just one entrance to this room through which Chaitanya Mahāprabhu had entered, and now he is sitting and eating, and Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is personally guarding the door. Te ho yadi prasadite hoila anamana amogasi anna dekhi karaye nindana.
However, as soon as the Bhaṭṭācārya began distributing prasadam and was a little inattentive, Amogha came in. Seeing the quantity of food, he began to blaspheme. So this was one reason why Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya was very keen that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place of honoring prasadam was isolated. And because one of the basic qualities of people in the material world is that they are envious of the Lord. So when envy means that when one is being offered something, the other person, when he sees, then he becomes very envious and he develops bitter feelings. So here Amogha saw the quantity of food and began to blaspheme.
Anne triptahaya dashabar jana ekala sannyasi kare teka bhakshana. This much food is sufficient to satisfy 10 or 12 men, but this sannyasi alone is eating so much. So right there on the face of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now we have just now read that how Mahaprabhu was very hesitant in sitting there and in taking such opulent food, and he was like not interested, but just because knowing Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya's heart and how much he wants to serve, Lord was sitting there and accepting that just to please his devotee. And right at his face, this person comes and he starts telling, you are eating so much, like 10 or 12 people can eat, and you are a sannyasi, how are you eating so much? Shunite Bhaṭṭācārya ulti chahila tanra avadhana dekhi Amogha palaila.
As soon as Amogha said this, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya turned his eyes upon him. Seeing the Bhaṭṭācārya's attitude, Amogha immediately left.
Palaila, Bhagya. Bhaṭṭācārya lathi lana marite dhaila palaila mogha tara lagana palila. The Bhaṭṭācārya ran after him to strike him with a stick, but Amogh fled so fast that Bhaṭṭācārya could not catch him. Now imagine the relationship here. 500 years ago, Bengal household, a typical Bengal household, Odisha household, and here is Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya running with a lathi in his hand behind his son-in-law. Now, there is actually a festival which they celebrate very soon after marriage, which they call Jamai Shashti. So much respect is given to the Jamai or the son-in-law. And here we are seeing that the father-in-law is actually chasing the son-in-law with a stick in his hand. Why? Because he is an offender to Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu himself. तबे गाली शाप दीते भट्टाचार्य आईला, निंदा शुनी महाप्रभु हर्षिते लागिला.
The Bhaṭṭācārya then began to curse his son-in-law and call him ill names. So we understand that for a devotee, this is the symptom of chastity of the devotee. The devotee is chaste to the Lord. And here we see that this devotee, Bhaṭṭācārya, Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, he is not able to tolerate the offense done to the Lord. And therefore he is all out. He's ready to beat him, and then he's cursing his son-in-law and calling him ill names. So this is the kind of affection for the Lord which has turned into this anger. When the Bhaṭṭācārya returned, he saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu was laughing to hear him criticize Amogha. So Chaitanya Mahāprabhu found this very amusing. All that Bhaṭṭācārya was
chasing
calling
and
out
cursing.
to Amogha.
शूनी शाठिर माता शिरे भूखे घाट मारे, शाठी रांडी हाउ की हा बोले बारे बारे. Now this is the reaction of Bhaṭṭācārya's wife. So when Shathi's mother, the Bhaṭṭācārya's wife, heard of this incident, she immediately began to strike her head and chest, saying again and again, let Shathi become a widow. Now can we imagine a mother sort of cursing her daughter? Because what can be worse than this, that the lady becomes a widow? But because Amogha has done such a offense against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Shathi Mata was so upset that he was telling, let my daughter become a widow, let this man die. Duhara dukha dekhi Prabhu, duha Prabhu diha, duhar ichhate bhojana kaila tushtahana.
Seeing the lamentation of both husband and wife, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to pacify them. According to their desire, he ate the prasadam and was very satisfied. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the all gracious, all merciful, all tolerant Lord, the Lord tolerated that, and then he pacified both the husband and wife. Don't worry. And then Lord expressed, reciprocated them. Lord did not become offended. So Lord reciprocated with the husband wife, and then he ate the prasadam. Was very, very
He ate
tushta.
probably more than 12 people also now to satisfy them. Achaman karana bhatta dila mukha vasa, tulasi manjari lavangi laichi rasvasa. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finished eating, the Bhaṭṭācārya poured water for the Lord to wash his mouth, hands and legs, and offered him flavored spices, tulasi manjaris, cloves and cardamom. Sarvange paraila prabhur malya chandana, dandavatahana bole sadainya vachana.
The Bhaṭṭācārya then placed a flower garland around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and smeared his body with sandalwood pulp. After offering obeisances, the Bhaṭṭācārya submitted the following humble statement. So after the prasada was offered, Achman was done, his hands, mouth and legs were washed, the spices were offered to the Lord. Now Bhaṭṭācārya placed a flower garland around the Lord and smeared his body with sandalwood pulp. And now he offered his dandavat and made a humble statement.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in the next session, we will see what happens to Amogha. It's an interesting, the story is at an interesting junction. So we will take a break here, and next session we will continue and see how Lord reacts or responds towards Amogha, what actually happens to him, and how, or whether he becomes the recipient of Lord's mercy. So thank you all very much for joining. Looking forward to see all of you and your comments about your learnings from today's session. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama